I mean, it's fascinating to see her after all these years. I felt an enormous amount of sadness for how much of her life she's lost to mistakes she made as a 22-year-old. I think it is important for us to remember she was 22 when this all happened. Some of what she's saying is a little bit jarring. I fell in love with my boss. I don't think most of us remember this as a love affair gone sour. I think she is, if not rewriting history, putting a slightly different spin on it. But mostly I'm struck by just sadness at all that she's lost. And in particular, this has been in the news a little bit, but it wasn't played in that stretch. She, during part of her speech, she let loose with a string of words that are used to describe a quote-unquote loose woman.
Right.
I can't remember them, but I was reminded I wrote a column not long ago in which I laid out all those words and made the point we don't have those words for a man.
Right.
One of the things I think would be interesting to discuss in terms of Monica isn't so much cyberbullying as the double standard we have for the way we talk about and treat women whom we deem sexually promiscuous versus men.
Having said all that, then, she knows what it's like to be humiliated.
Yes.
And those words used against her, and then you said we don't use those words against men. Is this a good cause for her to take up?
Cyberbullying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a perfectly good cause. It's a little bit odd because what happened to her wasn't what we now think of as cyberbullying.
Yeah, there was no Twitter, there's no Facebook, there's no social media.
And cyberbullying is what happens to you, like, among your friends in a school setting or something like that.
Was she bullied by the media, you think?
Well, yeah, but that's a medium. That's not about cyberbullying. That's about press coverage. And I don't know that I would say she was bullied. She went through the media grinder in a way that very, very few people have been.
Do you think then, if there was social media then, right? Do you think, or let's just say it happened now, when there is social media, and TMZ and all those things and all those sites, do you think Radar Online? Do you think that it would be different for her now? Might it just be a story that lasts for, a week or two, a month, and then it's gone?
I mean, this was a 22-year-old and the President of the United States, and it led to his impeachment and stuff like that. I think this would have gone on quite a while. Might have burned itself out a little faster because of the attention. I think it would have been even uglier in some ways, and we saw that today. She got on Twitter today, and I don't know if you saw this, but people tweeted back.
Yeah, well, and today she was, her inauguration into Twitter, and I think she said, hashtag here we go.
Right.
Twitter is
And here
brutal.
we went, and it was brutal, and people were, and again, what struck me was just how many of the tweets back to her were about sexual promiscuity and were questions and catcalls along those lines. And I just can't say strongly enough, we have to think about the sexism in the way we talk about women versus men when these scandals come along.
She talked about Tyler Clementi, the Rutgers University student who jumped off the bridge after his roommate filmed him in a compromising moment with another student. Do you think that why do you think that resonated with her so much?
I don't know that it did. I mean, I think she's made a decision to do this campaign, and she's come up with a narrative. I'm sure she noticed it like a lot of us did.
Right.
I'm sure she was saddened by it like a lot of us.
Here?
Well, I mean, she's coming up with a version that tees up her cause in the best way.
Okay. Can we move on now?
Please.
Let's talk about Ebola.
Yeah.
All right?
It's an interesting transition.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about Ebola, because here's what you said in your column just a few days ago. You said, I'm not dismissing the horror of Ebola, a full-blown crisis in Africa that should command the whole world's assistance. And Ebola in the United States certainly warrants concern. We're still searching for definitive answers about transmission and prevention, but Americans already have such answers about a host of other greater perils to our health, and we'd be wiser to reacquaint ourselves with those and recommit to heeding them than to worry about our own imminent exposure to Ebola.
Right. I was trying to push back at some of the panic that we're seeing. You know, people who are all freaked out about, being exposed to Ebola themselves and what that could mean. We don't yet know that that is going to be an issue for all but a very small number of people. And I was making the point that there's all sorts of things we know everything about. We know what good immunizations do, and yet we have a rising tide of people in this country who are resisting them. We know to wear sunscreen and stay out of the sun lest we get skin cancer. We ignore that. So I was just using that moment to say, we have answers to a lot of things. We don't have answers to this one, but why don't we take the answers we have and deploy those and not get freaked out about the unknown.
According to the CDC, about 20,000 people a year die from complications from the flu in the U.S. currently.
Correct.
And sometimes a lot more than that. There's been one death due to Ebola.
Right.
So
and 45% of Americans only who could have gotten one got flu vaccines during the last
do you think there's an overreaction? Because people are often, and not often, people are pretty much always, they fear the unknown more than the known.
Right. That's exactly what's going on. But because we don't know what to do in that one case, if we're really interested in the bigger picture of protecting ourselves and behaving responsibly and being protected from the things that could hurt us, why don't we use the knowledge we have on those issues and diseases we do.
Do you think it's equivalent to the panic that people had in the 80s and 90s about AIDS?
It's reminiscent of that, sure. It's very reminiscent because there again, people didn't yet have all the knowledge and answers they came to have later on.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think we should do? Do you think that the media is pushing this
I
narrative?
think we're over-covering it to a certain degree, but I think now a lot of the coverage has moved in the direction it should, which is looking at how institutions have reacted and whether we've seen the competence that we need to see from our government and from our federal officials.
But one has to wonder, you know, if the CDC is coming up with new guidelines this far into it, and what in the heck is going on?
That's alarming in and of itself, and that's, I think, the story the media is more and more covering. Why are we getting new guidelines when this was raging for months and we knew it was going to come here? It was a matter of chance, you know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a cold, and what we know is that you should do that instead of shaking your hand.
All right, thanks for protecting me.
Thank you. Frank Bruni from New York Times.